Hello and welcome to The Masks We Wear. This project was created by Beloved Community and Dona Communities United and focuses on how we as a community are feeling during this pandemic and how we hope to grow in the future. We especially want to highlight the difficulties that those in the disabled community face with isolation even before the pandemic and how we can be mindful in our future. As well, we want to bring light to the current injustices we are watching take place in our country.
Unknown, scary. We are always needing extra energy.
Blurred vision, being under a veil. Patriotism can sometimes blind us.
Lack of a haircut. A stray chin hair starting to grow.
Isolation, helplessness, frustration,
Brain being cluttered and scrambled. Newspapers giving us tension headaches.
I and many others are not able to hear well with the mask we have on. So I relied on reading lips for as long as I can remember. As long as I could read lips, I was fine in the hearing world. In this time of social distancing, staying 6 feet apart or the length of 2 golden retrievers or 3 wiener dogs is manageable for me when sitting across from one another in a quiet space. However, walking side by side, but distance is a test of my comprehension and coordination skills. In the span of seconds, I need to process what I am hearing, keep track of the 2 golden retrievers rule, and also be mindful of others in near proximity. Oh, and not trip, which is easier said than done.
There's also the matter of wearing masks when we're out in public. Cool, great, all for it, except for one thing. I have no idea what you're saying. And chances are you have no idea what I'm saying because my speech is a tiny bit off. I default to feeling frustrated because I can't do something and I don't like being unable to do something.
I can only imagine what it must be like to be hospitalized right now as a deaf person, to be in a precarious scenario and feel that loss of being able to comprehend and take in the world. Not only would it be an added layer of anxiety, but there would be an extreme sense of vulnerability.
As we continue to navigate through this pandemic, we need to be mindful of communication access. If you're out running, walking, or biking, notice someone in your path who has not moved out of the way. Move around them, keeping a safe distance, of course.
If you're hosting a meeting with multiple speakers, ensure the platform works with live captioning. For those who are essential workers and find yourselves interacting with a deaf or hard of hearing individual, consider keeping a large notepad around so you can communicate via the written word. And of course, be sure to have interpreters available for people who speak using sign language whenever possible.
Okay, I'm learning to be more creative.
Our community is becoming more accessible.
This April, Maria Sotnikova attended her first Seder, a virtual dinner held over the video conferencing app WebEx. Though she has many Jewish friends, she had never been asked to share in the Passover ritual before. Ms. Sotnikova, a 33-year-old data scientist in Atlanta, uses a power wheelchair. For years, people have admitted to excluding her from the parties, picnics, and other gatherings that they assumed, often incorrectly and always patronizingly, she wouldn't be able to attend. Since March, when the coronavirus pandemic placed limits on public life, Ms. Sotnikova has had many more chances to join in. House parties, professional conferences, activist meetings, and improv classes, often held in spaces that she cannot fully access, have suddenly opened up to her through her screen.
Carissa Barrow, 35, who lives in Los Angeles, had an active social life at bars, concerts, and clubs before the pandemic, but she dreaded the logistics. She uses a wheelchair, so a broken elevator or a late bus could be the difference between a fantastic night out and a disaster. It gets tiring figuring out which places are accessible, Ms. Barrow said. Bathrooms are often the issue. Places she could enter had ones she couldn't use, which made staying out late with friends almost impossible. That concern kept her from one club in particular, which had a weekly goth night at which she longed to be a regular. And then all of a sudden she became one. Once we were in lockdown, they started having Zoom nights with a DJ and everyone had their video on and I could see them dancing, she said.
Transitioning to remote participation has been complicated for many people with invisible disabilities, whose needs have long been excluded from traditional accessibility guidelines.
Virtual classrooms, cumbersome as they may be for parents and teachers, offer similar flexibility to students with disabilities who may benefit from assistive options such as captioning and malleable playback.
Face-to-face interactions, accessibility threatens to narrow back to pre-pandemic levels. But the window is still open to make accessibility permanent, ideally under the guidance of people with disabilities who use online tools out of necessity well before they became universal. It's been an opportunity to let people see, here we are, we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, we have all the things to make your programs, your offices better.
Optimism, newfound strength.
A clean slate, balance, growth.
Getting a haircut, feeling like ourselves again.
Going to birthday parties and zoo.
Hugging each other and talking it.
A big question mark.